Hey everyone, I'm Breanna from Boom, and welcome to Boom Chat. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with LaToya Morgan, the amazing author that's bringing you Dark Blood. Alabama, 1955. Avery Aldridge was a decorated soldier during World War II. Now, he's just an ordinary young Black man, busy providing for his wife and daughter. But the wounds of the past have a way of coming back, and he'll soon discover that he is anything but ordinary. After a run-in awakens strange new abilities, Avery is about to become more powerful than he could have ever dared to dream in a country and society that never wanted him to have any power. LaToya. This book just immediately starts out heavy, pulls no punches. What made you want to write a story about race relations, specifically the experience of Black men in the South in the 50s?
Well, I didn't necessarily approach it as wanting to write a story about race relations. I really approached it as me wanting to tell a story about a man who discovers he has these abilities. And so when I came up with the idea, it was a few years ago. Around that time, we were seeing people walking around Charlottesville with tiki torches and saying really awful, hateful, harmful things.
Yeah.
And for me, it was really like a walking history book, right? This is something that was happening now, but it just felt like it was just of a different time. And I could believe it, but I also couldn't believe it. And so for me, it was the chance to, really take that in, do a deep dive, do some research, and really look at a pocket of our history that I think not enough people know about and not enough people have paid attention to. But it wasn't just about excavating history and then, trying to do sort of a documentary or anything like that. It was really about my deep, deep desire to want to turn that really dark history on its head. And that's where the genre element came into the idea. And so it really was the chance to kind of retell a part of our history in a really different genre bent way.
I love that. I'm already so excited for it. What do you hope that readers might take away from the first issue?
Well, the first issue is really, propulsive. My favorite part of it is, you get to see Avery, our hero, in the present. And then you also get to flash back to his experiences behind enemy lines in war. And so I love the ability to kind of go back and forth. That's something that, you get to do more freely in comic books than you get to do in television or film. So the idea that you can kind of live in both of those spaces and see his experiences and really get to know him as a person, as a man, as a war hero, as a father, that was really exciting to me.
That is so perfect to lead me right into my next question, because I wanted to ask you, why did you feel that this story was best suited for the comic book medium? It's such a powerful story that we get in a comic book that we don't usually get to see. So why a comic book format?
I'm a big comic book fan. When I was a kid growing up, my dog's name is Xavier, named after Charles Xavier from the X-Men. I was a Marvel kid. I loved comics growing up. I couldn't draw them, but I taught myself how to write them to compensate for that because I loved them so much. And I just loved that you could tell a story that had social implications and tell it in a really pulpy, popcorn way. Originally, when I thought of this idea, I was like, maybe it will be better as a movie. That was the original thought. But then I felt like it wasn't enough. You have a certain amount of parameters that you need for a movie, especially a 2-hour movie. And I wanted to be able to kind of do the things I just said, go back in time, like do deep dives, visually tell the story in a way that maybe some producer or some studio might say it was too expensive to do. So I love the medium of comic books, the range that you get when you do it. And I just loved them so much, and I thought that was fun.
I'm so excited that you get to tell this story in a format that you do love so much. And I think that really, that love really translates into your story. And I'm so excited for fans and the world to get to pick this up and experience it. So I'm just gushing. I'm sorry. I'm going to move on to my next question.
No, I love it. Please, I'll take it.
So my next question is, well, first I want to start off with a statement. So as a Black woman myself, I did not hear about race relations. I did not get taught about Black Wall Street. I was shocked when I learned about it. I didn't know about the Tuskegee experiments. And I really feel like this is such an appropriate time for this story to come out because we are learning about these things now. We're seeing other mediums touching on these subjects, movies, TV, novels, and we're getting like all of these pivotal moments from our country's history in genre stories. And there are some examples of this in comic books. It's still relatively like unexplored territory in the comic book format. We haven't really seen it a lot. How do you feel that Dark Blood itself fits into the zeitgeist of the moment that we're living in?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, it really slots in well with a lot of the pieces of genre that have done it before. It makes me think, specifically, I was really inspired by the comic book Watchmen, but also really inspired by the new version, the new take that HBO did with the series, the limited series that they had, because it was able to talk about Black Wall Street. I remember it was trending on Twitter and people could not believe that had actually happened in real life.
LaToya, let me tell you, that's how I learned about Black Wall Street. I did not know. I thought that was fake, and I looked it up and I started sobbing because I was like, how could this happen? Yeah,
and that it was buried, and there were just a few people. We recently saw several of the survivors, I think the two remaining survivors, go to Congress and try to bring more awareness to what happened. But this is what storytelling can do. This is why I'm excited to be a writer and a storyteller, is that you can shine a light on a pocket of history that people may not know about. And in the case of Watchmen, I think why it resonated so much with people is because it really pushed the boundaries of what we expect a story like that to look like. You don't have to make a story like that and hit people over the head with it and make them absolutely feel bad. There's a trick that you have to pull. You kind of have to put the medicine in the milkshake. You kind of have to tell the story of what you want to bring up, the social issue that you're challenged by, but also make the story palatable and entertaining and fresh and exciting. And I think that's what Dark Blood does. At the heart of it, this is a genre story, but it's also a family story. It's a mystery. It's a thriller. It's popcorn and pulp, and it's propulsive and exciting. And so I wanted all those things mashed up into one, because why not?
LaToya, you're doing my job for me, because you just perfectly led me into my next question. So Avery has all of these obstacles that he faces before and after the variants. So his character is really so aspirational. He's a husband, he's a father, he's a veteran. Are we going to get to see more of what made Avery over the course of Dark Blood? Because as you say, it's not just about pain, it's about all of these wonderful things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was hands down my one and only mandate for this story. It was that I wanted to see Avery as a full and human person in the midst of these very extraordinary circumstances. So I wanted to see him, behind enemy lines in the theater of war. I also wanted to see him, figuratively behind enemy lines in the Deep South, segregated South, also fighting similar battles. I wanted to make sure that this was couched in a love story. It's really rare and not often enough in TV, film, movies, and in comic books to see a Black love story, and to see this man love his wife and love his daughter, and be challenged by the question of how far will he go to protect them and to provide for them. That was something that really, really resonated with me to tell the story.
I love that. It's so beautiful. And again, I cannot wait for fans to pick it up and see that kind of love. I'm so excited.
I hope they do.
All right. So obviously, this story has some moments that are hard to read and hard to watch, but ultimately it's about perseverance. I want to know, from your perspective, what was it like for you to work on this project? And did you get any sense of catharsis from writing this?
I did. I think, our job as storytellers is to hold up mirrors and to get people to look in the dark places that they might not want to look into. Because at the end of the day, what I hope for, me as an individual, us collectively as a country, is that we can move forward and that we can change. And you can't do that until you actually examine the problem and try to get underneath it and try to heal. So not that I think, a comic book like this is going to, change the world, but it is, my shot across the bow to say, hey, there's still a lot of work to be done. And if we all work on it and deal with it together, that maybe we can be the change, be the aspirational thing that we hope this country will be.
Oh, that's beautiful. LaToya, seriously, thank you so much for your time. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for your work. I really, really appreciate it. I love getting to see myself in stories that I never got to see when I was growing up as a kid.
Thank you, that's sweet.
It's amazing. And it's just been so enlightening and uplifting to chat with you today. My goodness. Okay. So for all of you watching at home, be sure to pick up Dark Blood #1 in stores now. And if you want to stay up to date on all of our amazing content, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click that notification button. Be sure to keep an eye out for when we release a limited edition of Dark Blood #1 with cover art by Marcus Williams, available exclusively to the Boom Studios web store. There are only 250 copies available. Be sure to get yours because this one is bound to go fast.